A kidnapped girl is found after 8 years, but when she returns home, it becomes clear that she's possessed. Or cursed, or something. None of this sounds like a mummy movie, of course, but alas, today we're here to discuss Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
Ready to taste those piggies.
This is a horror movie podcast. We get together to talk about a movie. It's that simple. And today we are finally getting to Blumhouse's Lee Cronin's The Mummy from earlier this year. Normally when we didn't do one that was in theaters and we both had it at the same time, you know, because sometimes obviously we have different release dates for things and it murkies things up. Mm-hmm. But normally if something did come out at the same time in the UK and the US and we didn't do it, there's usually some specific reason, like either I don't know, like one of us was away for a couple of weeks or whatever the case may be. There is no reason for this one. I just really didn't want to go see it at the time, and Tim didn't exactly put up that much of a fight either, so we just waited. We thought we'll do it when it's available at home, and we'll potentially suffer then. Now, obviously, there was always a chance it was going to be a surprise and turn out to be good, so we'll...
a chance, yeah.
There's always a chance, so we'll see how that panned out in a second, but... yeah. No, I assume you didn't watch it until for this, right?
No.
Okay, just check. Because sometimes you even the bad movies, sometimes you've already seen once and then you come back and watch them again.
Yeah, like if it was something that was maybe a bit more in the cultural zeitgeist, or like if every podcast I knew was doing episodes on it and I wanted to kind of be in on the conversation, then yeah, I might have been like, you know what, I'll just check it out and rewatch it whenever. And there might have been a brief period, because I think it came out at a time when I was looking, I might have been bored and debating going to the theaters to watch it, but yeah, I mean, based on like the reviews and word of mouth and stuff, I was like, you know, I don't really feel like putting myself through it, especially the fact that it's like 2 hours long, that I'm like, all right, if this is brutal, then it's going to be hard to, you know, sit through, you know, a long movie when I have to rewatch it. So I was just, we'll wait on this one.
Yeah. 2 hours and 15 minutes to be precise, I would like to point out. 2 hours flat would have been a pleasant surprise compared to 2 hours and 15 minutes, especially since horror movies tend to be around the 90 minutes to 100 minute mark. So the one benefit of a bad horror movie usually is that it won't be that long. So this had its runtime hanging over its head going into it as well. So the basic premise of this, which, well, by the way, I should say, we'll start spoiler free, of course. We'll give you a warning before we get into the spoilers, and if you enjoy the show on YouTube, hit the like button, helps out a bunch if you do. You can support us over at Patreon and get some bonus stuff, but I'll tell you more about that at the end of the episode. So, the premise of this, you're thinking it's the Mummy, right? So, Mummy comes to life and causes chaos, and we're doing a horror podcast here, obviously, so it's going to be maybe less Indiana Jones like the 1999 Mummy and a bit more like the old school Mummy, or Shudder, the Tom Cruise Dark Universe Mummy from 2017. Yeah, that little ditty's 9 years old, Tim. Let that sink in.
Did we do that on the show? I don't even remember.
We did, yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I remember really talking about is how much it was like a bad remake of American Werewolf in London. There was like a lot of stuff seemed it was ripped right out of that movie, bizarrely.
It's like people for some reason just don't want to make a Mummy movie.
Yeah, because so here's the thing, Lee Cronin here. He did Evil Dead Rise, of course. That was the thing he did before this. Before that, though, he did a movie. Was it the Boy in the Hole or something like that? What was it called?
A Hole in the Ground?
A Hole in the Ground, but it was about a boy who like
finds a hole.
Yeah, but he comes out like possessed or different or something. I mean, it's been a while since we watched that one, but it was pretty bad, right? I hated that movie when we did that back when. And this movie is Lee Cronin basically taking what he did with Evil Dead Rise, which, to be fair, I liked Evil Dead Rise, but then also taking what he did with The Hole in the Ground, and it's becoming very apparent that Lee Cronin likes to do one thing, and that is possessed people, or maybe possessed children specifically, if he gets his way. And because, like, if you wanted to call this a bad knockoff Evil Dead at points, you kind of could, especially towards the end.
I could be wrong. I'd have to try to look up some articles or something, but I thought there was stuff going around where people were saying that this was kind of like started off as a pitch to like another Evil Dead movie or whatever, and then he pivoted or something.
No, actually, Tim, I think you've got it the wrong way around. I believe he was offered to do another Evil Dead, and he said, no, I want to go and do my own thing. So he went and did...
Okay, I remember that, yeah.
This was the thing he wanted to do instead of going back to Evil Dead.
I thought there was also stuff, though, where people are saying, like, there's some... And again, maybe it's just, like, people making assumptions that there were, like, ties with this and... Evil Dead Rise or something that like people are trying to say like is in the same universe, but and that might just be like online speculation or something. But I could have sworn when it came out that there was like people talking about that, which, I mean, I wouldn't say that it canonically is or whatever, but I can definitely see, like you're saying, like it feels like there's a lot of similarities between this and Evil Dead Rise, and what's kind of weird is. We're talking about his first movie, and I didn't like that one either. I actually, fairly disliked it. But I from what I remember is that it did have a much different tone. Like it did seem to take itself much more seriously. It was much more like somber, and a bit more understated. So I thought it was very interesting watching this where. Like I understand the connection you're saying where okay we're dealing with like possession and stuff again, but at the same time this just like tone wise and the way it's shot just feels like it's so indebted to what he was trying to do with Evil Dead Rise that I'm kind of curious like is this just the filmmaker that he's going to be from now on? Like I'm not going to be too interested in whatever he does next, but I am curious like. Is this just that kind of stuff we're going to get from him now?
I will say, like, I remember that Hole in the Ground movie being miserable and depressing, and I do think that carried into this. I feel like there is some stuff from that first one that wasn't as in Evil Dead Rise. It's about a girl who goes missing and then 8 years later turns up again, but she's weird and different and maybe possessed, and the family must deal with it. And all I'll say before I ask you how you felt, Tim, is that everything I just said there is the setup of the movie, right? So when you get to the point where, okay, they've got her back and she's in the house, because that's now what the main movie's about, that's 40 minutes into the movie. I checked how much time was left at that point, and I saw, 40 minutes have passed, and another almost hour 40 remained. There's a whole movie left still, and I died a little bit inside. So with that said, Tim, what did you think of Lee Cronin's The Mummy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people can probably already tell, but I thought this was pretty bad. If I want to start off with a few little grains of positivity, I guess like there's maybe one or two moments of like gore that I guess is kind of gnarly or memorable. But I mean, I can't say there was much, that really thrilled me. I would say, I mean, it's like, again, it's hard with like a movie that is so like long and convoluted and stuff, but there were moments where I did laugh at it, and like part of me was kind of like, okay, this is bad, but are we going to venture into that like so bad or over the top territory that it's like, not a good movie, but at least I'm having some dumb fun with it. And I'd say maybe there's a moment or two like that, but never really, fully gets into that territory. And it it would be hard to have like, a bad movie be like a bad fun movie be this long. But there was stuff like the dad I thought was really bad, and it actually was kind of making me laugh. Like he has so many reaction shots. Like I feel like later on in the movie, that's just like him staring with like wide eyes. That I'm like, all right, this is so like bad. It's kind of making me laugh. But yeah, I mean, I can't say it ever really gets to a point where I'm like, you know what, this is so dumb or stupid. I'm having fun with it. Yeah, it's so convoluted. I mean, we're talking about it with your description. Like, there's no reason that this needs to be a mummy movie. Like, I mean, I guess A for effort for trying to do something different, but like, yeah, like,
well, different from the Mummy movies, not different from his other movies.
right. But it's kind of annoying because I really like mummies. Like I don't know, something about the whole bandage look I always think is like really cool. So I kind of just want like a straightforward horror movie that's just a dude in bandages wreaking havoc, and either we get like, these actiony movies or whatever the hell the Dark Universe one was, or this one that's again just like not resembling anything you think of when you think of a mummy movie. But it's like, yeah, are people just like afraid to do just like a simple bare bones mummy movie? I don't know, but I mean, if you take out the whole mummy aspect and just have this be a kid possession movie, then you could easily lose like 30-40 minutes, because then you don't have to worry about all the stuff in like Egypt and blah blah blah.
Oh,
like, you would make it so less like convoluted and stuff. And again, I feel like I'm using that word a lot, but the story is like really goes out of its way to like make a reason why all this is happening. And again, we don't really need that. And then once it does get into like the nitty gritty possession stuff, like it is for the most part just pretty boilerplate like things that you can kind of guess.
All the tropes. Yeah. She's going to vomit. Yeah. She's going to walk or crawl weird. She's going to,
drop a C-bomb.
Yeah, there's a few C-bombs in this one, which honestly, the only time it intentionally got a reaction out of me, because there's one or two, like, that was so bad it was funny moments, but the only time it intentionally got a laugh out of me, at least I believe it was intentional, is when a little girl drops a C-bomb out of nowhere, and it really popped me in my funny bone. So, that's something. That's, if nothing else, that's something. But yeah, this is dog shit. This is a like it's. I mean, yeah, it's overlong, but it's so generic and overlong. It's like, yeah, it goes a bit more extreme with some of the visual violence at one or two points. Although, to be honest, at a certain point, I feel like it was trying too hard just to be disgusting for disgusting's sake. But it's every trope. It's oh, I got to do research. I got to go talk to a professor who can translate something. We got to do, bullshit jump scares here or there. We're going to have the horrible version of a kid tries to act evil and do the evil voice, kind of thing. And like just all of these things. And then on top of that, it's just kind of miserable because like the characters in this movie lost their daughter when she was like 6 or whatever she was, or 7 or 8, or I don't know. I'm terrible with kids' ages, but that's the start of the movie, is they lose this kid. It flash forwards 8 years where the rest of the story takes place. And obviously, yeah, this family is weird and miserable because they lost a child, and it's just everyone's walking on eggshells all the time, and the two parents have like, fights occasionally, and it's just kind of a miserable. There's nothing fun. Like, I feel like some of the stuff that it has the possessed kid do is trying to be a fun movie, but everything else in this movie is so miserable that I'm not in the mood for fun.
Yeah. Well, weirdly enough, what it reminds me of is like, I mean, yes, obviously there's the Evil Dead Rise connection, but I also felt a very similar way to kind of how I feel about like Evil Dead Burn, where it's like, yeah, you have this like very serious, like, tragic story, but then also it seems like they're trying to interject with like moments of like comedy or whatever once like like some of the violent stuff is starting to happen, but it's just like a weird disconnect because it's like the two tones aren't really meshing together very well.
Yeah, I mean, and Evil Dead Burn I would say is better than this movie. Like,
I would agree. Yeah.
Didn't love it. And Evil Dead Rise I actually think was good, which is a far cry from this.
Yeah, it's weird because again, I was not like super hyped with Evil Dead Rise. Like I would say like I like it. I don't love it. Like to me, it's okay, but at the very least, it's a competent made movie. Where this, it's just like, I don't know, like was like I think Evil Dead Rise did pretty good, which is why they wanted to do sequels and stuff. But did it do that good that like they let him do this crazy movie? Like it seems like no one's giving him any notes. It's like, you want to make your mummy movie that's not about a mummy and it's gonna be like over to it, like sure, Lee Cronin, you can do no wrong, do whatever you need to do. Like I don't know, it's weird.
It feels like he had carte blanche to do what he wanted here, but that's the wild thing, is that he had carte blanche to do what he wanted, and he made something so painfully goddamn generic. And just because it's 2 hours and 15 minutes, right, and it's way over long, you think, well, has he got a lot of extra ideas and there's a lot more beats to the story? Not really. I mean, that extra runtime is partially because it takes 40 minutes to set up its story, right? You get like a prologue to everything in general, and then you get an extended family prologue before we actually get to the main story. So that there's like you have to like do multiple introductions to the family, because you have to do the initial one and then the second introduction after 8 years have passed. So it's like you have all that beefing out the runtime in the first like 40 or so minutes. And then on top of that, you've got the investigation in Egypt taking place that we cut to for extended periods of time, as all the regular possession movie and like, oh, I'm researching stuff and I'm talking to professor stuff's happening. And it doesn't actually like do more than a regular possession movie. If anything, all this extra padding just means you're waiting extra long for the crazier stuff to happen. So it's really tedious. It's a tedious movie, and I didn't really enjoy any of it. Like I said, one or two moments made me laugh, but that's about it. It's miserable. I mean, the nicest thing I can say is that in spite of how miserable overall it feels and is, I wouldn't say that the characters are like unsufferable or unlikable. They're kind of reasonably okay for what they are, right? Like they could have been much worse. They could have been much worse. But that doesn't go that far, admittedly, by the time you're in that like last hour and you're just begging for it to end and you're like, wait, how is there still 40 minutes left? I thought I had like 10 minutes left. How is this still going? Stop this right now. So yeah, miserable time. I did not enjoy myself, and like if this was 90 minutes, I probably still would not have enjoyed myself. But it being stretched out another 45 goddamn minutes was just painful.
I'm not trying to defend it at all. Like, I do think that they do pack, like, a lot of story in it. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happens. It's just none of it usually tends to be that interesting or completely necessary. Like, like, it's not like there's just long stretches where, like, characters are just silent or sitting at the table or anything. It's like, no, there usually is stuff that's going on. It's just like you're saying, that stuff does tend to be boring or tedious. And then there is so much, like, again, the story is all over the place. So it's like, oh yeah, we have to start with this prologue, and we're in Egypt, and then we're cutting between like this one family and then our main family, and then we're going back to America, and then that a whole new setup because it's 8 years later, and then you have like the crime stuff. So it's like, like I understand why it is so long, because you have a lot of stuff in there. It's just that, well, you're starting off on the wrong foot because you feel like you need all that stuff. Like I feel sometimes when we're talking about movies that we don't like, I'll have something to say like, oh yeah, I think the movie's pretty bad, but I can see where like there's a good idea in here, or like, oh, they had an interesting idea, but then they just didn't really know how to execute it. This is one where I think like you're having a problem like right from the script. Like just like it starts off as being a poorly made idea. Like there's not much saving it. yeah, like you're saying, even if like it was cut down or something, or like it still would not be like good or enjoyable. Like this is just something I feel like you would have to scrap and just start over.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like if you cut all the Egypt stuff, right, and you just sort of had like them discover via one character telling them what the backstory of the possession was, it would be cut down so much time, but it wouldn't actually help the movie be any better in terms of like the how generic the actual plot is and how much we've all seen these ideas before. Some of them in a Lee Cronin movie already, but just in general, nothing here feels all that exciting, and that's kind of why it's wild that like the Evil Dead comparison is not actually like a thing for most of the movie. It's only the last act where all of a sudden the possessed character starts talking a lot more like a Deadite, and there's a lot more of that type of antics, and it feels weird, it feels tacked on, and it's just like, what are you doing? I mean, if I was Lee Cronin, right, and I'm making this movie, I think I would feel uncomfortable with clearly just doing Deadite stuff, because that's just tapping into something that I've already done. Never mind the fact that it's a franchise that I'm not making an entry in, so it's kind of a little rip-offy, if you want to even call it that. But that's not even my problem. I don't really care about that. I just care about the fact that like, it's just a crap version of another thing.
Yeah. That's why it's so funny. It's like, yeah, I could have done the Evil Dead sequel, but I didn't want to. I wanted to go out and do my own thing. And it's like, well, your own thing is just a ripoff of like the thing you just did. It's like, I don't know, it's weird.
It's like a rip-off in 3 parts. It's like part of it's ripping off like other possession movies, part of it's ripping off Evil Dead, and then part of it's I don't know. I can't even say The Mummy, which is the weird thing. You'd think The Mummy would be one of them, but it really isn't.
I mean, I knew we weren't gonna get like a full-on Mummy movie, but like there's like so little Mummy in here. Like not even like I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't even think like the character ever really had like bandages or anything. Like
kinda like, I mean, right at the start it was definitely wrapped in something. I mean, I don't know if you call them bandages per se, but it was definitely wrapped in maybe like a leather or something like that.
It's just I don't know. I feel like it should be illegal to call this a Mummy movie.
There was a heavily featured sarcophagus. That was basically
true.
That in Egypt. Egypt was featured. There you go. There's your mummy.
And Lee Cronin is he's like Irish, right? I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, perfect choice to do a Mummy movie.
I mean, you say that, but like all the previous directors were all either American or I don't know, whatever else.
Well, we have mummies in America, so.
I mean, I don't know who directed the 2017 one. It could literally be someone from any country, but the Stephen Sommers who did the 1999 one is definitely American. So
he was a mummy for a little bit, though.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, I don't even know what else to. It's weirdly bloated, but if you actually strip out all the bloat, all you're left with is a very generic movie anyway. So, like, maybe if you're into the gross out stuff where there's like skin being peeled off and things like that, maybe you'll get something out of it. But like, honestly, I like gore, but like that's just kind of felt like extra icky for the sake of just trying to gross people out, which I'm not necessarily. Like, I like fun gore. I want, heads exploding. I want limbs off and blood spraying around. And
yeah, no, I mean, again, I also like appreciate like a good bit of gore or like a nice, bloody set piece or something. But, it has to, there has to be like a level of fun to it. And it has to, if the story around it sucks, it's hard for just that part to elevate the movie into, something watchable.
Spoilers. We're going to do spoilers now for Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I think what the title was there, which how could I forget? It's a mummy movie.
Although it did make me laugh because when the title comes on the screen, again, I don't know who approved this, but it really looks like it says The Lee Cronin's Mummy.
Honestly, the word I mean, not that I'm saying I want the Lee Cronin part of it there, but the fact that like it would actually read better if it just said Lee Cronin's mummy. That would roll off the tongue much better. That having to say Lee Cronin's the mummy just sounds awkward and weird. But who am I to critique such decisions that like, and I want to know, did Lee Cronin insist on his name being in the title, or was this like a studio thing because they thought it would make it sound prestigious or something like that?
I thought I heard someone say, and again, I'm sure it's probably just all like speculation or whatever, but that, you know, they wanted to avoid confusion with the new Mummy Legacy sequel or whatever that's coming out
next year. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I wonder if that was in part because they knew this was going to be a stinker or whatever. But also, like, I don't know. I mean, aside from like, you know, horror fans and stuff, does anyone even really know who like Lee Cronin is? Like, general public, I don't think is gonna know or give a shit.
I mean, I think the hope is that if you market a director well enough with a movie that does well, they'll like people are more likely to remember the director because they marketed the director so heavily. It's kind of like you know, with Christopher Nolan, like his name sells movies now, and they make shit tons of money just on his name. But they've never officially put his name in the goddamn title. It's not Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey you're going to see. It just says The Odyssey. You can put his name on the post. I mean, you can even have it on the poster saying Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Like some John Carpenter movies did that. They would say John Carpenter's The Thing or whatever, but it wasn't actually part of the title. But if you go to IMDb right now, I mean, I'm on the page, it says Lee Cronin's The Mummy. That is the title of the movie. The only comparison I can think of is that 2017 Power Rangers movie technically is called Saban's Power Rangers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I know this because I own it on Apple, and you know, obviously it's alphabetical. I have to go down to the S section to find it.
I mean, I don't own the movie, but that still irks me.
Yeah, it's infuriating. It's infuriating. I even hate when they do it, like, you know, Lost World, Jurassic Park. Screw you, Spielberg. What are you playing at?
Dude, don't even get me started. Like this, I get so angry like when I look at my digital library because like I like to sort things by alphabetical order, but then because of that, when you have like, you know, sequels that, you know, have an unusual you know, wording to it, like the Lost World is a perfect example. Then it's like, all right, if you want to watch Jurassic Park, you go down and it's like Jurassic Park 3, and then it's like, okay, now I gotta scroll up for Lost World and stuff. And then and that also becomes annoying when you have movies that have the same title but are different years. So then it's like, yeah, my Hellboy movies are like Hellboy, and then, you know, 2019 Hellboy, and then Hellboy 2 or whatever. And then it's like, there has to be a better way to do this. There should be some intuitiveness to when they're organizing these things.
Well, on my collection spreadsheet, I've got a column called Sort Title, and that's what I actually sort by. And, you know, so it'll just say Jurassic Park 2 instead of Lost World, Jurassic Park. But only in the sort title, so it'll still say the proper title in the title column, but I'm always sorting by the sort title because that'll put things in the right order. You know? Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare will be after Elm Street 5, where it should be, not on its own, isolated in the F section like some poor bastard child. Which is what Freddy is, funnily enough. Bastard child of 1,000 maniacs. No, it was 100 maniacs. It wasn't 1,000. It was 100. Anyway, so spoilers, if that wasn't clear, for Lee Cronin's The Mummy, just to be precise. So, yeah, there's a whole prologue teasing this family in Egypt who have a sarcophagus in their big fancy basement, and it seems like whatever mummy's inside, they're starting to wake up. At least that's what you get from it. And the guy in the family gets impaled with like a chain spike thing and dies, and that's kind of how the movie kicks off. But
honestly, I don't think I've ever like heard you sound less like disinterested in a recap.
I mean more disinterested, because if I was less disinterested, I'd be more interested.
Right. Yeah. Which I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, this is the right tone to have when describing this movie, but it's funny.
Like cards on the table. I'm pretty tired. I hated this movie. So like, yeah, my enthusiasm here in my voice is not going to be at an all-time high. I think it's fair to say I'll soldier on through. Don't you worry. But it's not going to be, the best of Screams After Midnight today. I don't think it's going to be like the bare minimum and nothing else. Thank you very much.
I mean, everyone deserves an off day. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Lee Cronin had a few off days during this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we the family who are living in Cairo at the time, because the dad's job is TV presenter.
I mean, I think this movie is bad in a lot of ways, and not that this is the most important part, but yeah, I did think they did like a poor job of explaining exactly what he does, because at some points it made it seem like maybe he was like, like a producer or something, but then he starts off with like being on camera and stuff, and he's like talking about being worried about being on camera and stuff. But then it seems like later on when he's back home that it seems like he has more of a behind the scenes kind of role, but I guess that could be because he lost the on camera gig or whatever. But I don't know. It never really seemed quite clear what he was doing, especially what he was doing there.
I assumed that change was because of the whole, kid being kidnapped and never finding her. He lost his spark, Tim. He couldn't be on camera anymore because the light was gone from his eyes. So he had to take a behind the scenes role where he's doing some buttons or whatnot.
Yeah. Well, at least they clearly explain why he's in Egypt and like what he's studying and reporting on. So.
Yeah, that was sarcasm for anyone who didn't get that. I have nothing to add. I mean, Tim's right to critique it.
Because it's, again, if he is just like a news presenter or something, it seems like they would just be there for like a couple of days doing a news story, but he's like living there,
Well, you see a snippet of what he's talking about, and he is talking about Egypt, so presumably it's some kind of docuseries or documentary that he's making about Egypt, which is fine, because it's not like the way they introduce it is bad per se. It just doesn't explain that much, and that felt okay at the time, because I thought, well, we're probably going to get more of his job as the movie goes on. We're probably going to see, another example. We're going to see him going to work and see him, like, maybe his job will tie into what's going on with his family, and he'll use it for research or whatever. But no, we barely even bring his job up for the rest of the movie. It's just an afterthought. So
I just thought there would be a more like important reason, like, oh, why is he here? He's specifically here studying this thing that kind of, becomes intertwined with what happens to his family or whatever. And I guess you don't need it. Like, they can just be there or whatever. But again, it felt kind of strange to me that it's like, oh, you never really got like a clear idea of who he is or what he's doing. And again, if it was a better, more interesting movie, maybe I wouldn't care, because then I'm just focusing on the other cool parts. But because the whole movie sucks, it's just like, oh, this is just another thing that stands out as being like, okay, well, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's not going to be there for long, because he gets a call saying, you got the gig.
In New York, yes.
In New York.
Yeah, but they're not there in the present day part, so I assume that he didn't take that job because they spent probably a year looking for their daughter or something before they finally gave up and went home. So the daughter's taken by a woman, the implication being that it's a woman from the opening, and like we get a lot of the context of it later, but up front all it is the friend from the end of the garden came and took her, and everyone's freaking out. And there's a whole sequence here where once the dad realizes something's happened, he goes out running around trying to find her, and he's like running down all these narrow like alleyways and stuff in this Egyptian town, and there's just like a sandstorm that sort of brewed and is going down all the alleyways as he's running around to try and make it feel more dramatic. I'm like, am I watching that scene in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol where the sandstorms come in and Tom Cruise is running around from it? Because it almost felt like they were trying to do something like that. It was but a bit over the top, which I think is maybe a complaint I'd have for a number of scenes in this movie. Actually, is it goes a bit too over the top occasionally.
I'm guessing the implication here is like it seemed like this might be like somewhat supernatural. Like I kind of got the feeling like this was something maybe demonic that is trying to interfere with them. But also, doesn't this seem kind of stupid though? Like if you're gonna kidnap a person, doesn't it seem like more profile, like a higher profile thing to be kidnapping, like, you know, this visiting like news person that's probably going to, you know, like contact the embassy, and you know, it seems like it's a higher risk to kidnap someone like this, you know.
I mean, we don't really get enough of the person doing the kidnapping to understand the choice beyond just she's been grooming this kid into being her friend for a while, and an innocent child works best for the rituals, so she's the one.
Just a few quick things. You know, talking about stuff feeling like a ripoff, like this scene where she's like talking to her and showing her a magic trick and stuff, it did feel like a little reminiscent of the Black Phone, like, you know, the way the grabber you know, would like kidnap a kid by enticing them with like some magic trick or something, and whatever. So which is another Blumhouse movie, so I don't know, there might be something there, but it just felt a little reminiscent to that. And then also it was just funny, not that I think that they're connected or related in any way, but I actually watched a movie today called Night of the Juggler, which is like a 70s kind of like grimy New York thriller. But it's funny because it when I was watching it, it did kind of remind me of this, because it also starts off with James with a father whose like daughter gets kidnapped, and he goes through this long chase, but it's much better done in that movie. If anyone is looking for you know, something good to watch, that much more recommend that movie.
Got to be wary around jugglers. You can't trust them.
Yeah. That my only complaint is that it's a horrible title. Like it makes it sound like it's a horror movie that takes place at the circus or something. But there is, I forget the reason was. It was like the kidnapper at some point talks about like, yeah, these rich people are always juggling things around, but now I'm the juggler. Like they have to do what I say or something. Like it was like, all right. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch, but whatever.
Look at me. I'm the juggler now.
Yeah. But what's funny about that too, and it's James Brolin is the dad, and the like the chase scene in this, like compared to the rest of the movie, is fairly short. But in Night of the Juggler, the chase scene is actually like really long. Like they came to a point where I was like, oh, is this gonna be like the whole movie? Like it's just like a 90-minute chase scene, which I'm not against, but it doesn't end up being that. But it's cool.
It's a good sign that you want to tell me about this other movie way more than talk about The Mummy. So
I do have more positive things to say about that.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, kids disappeared. There's a scene where they go to the police, and like the policeman talking in obviously his native language basically says, oh, let's make sure we're looking at the parents here, because like maybe they accidentally killed their kid and they're trying to like cover it up by saying she was kidnapped. And the dad, being here for work, can understand some of it. So he starts like getting mad about like, what are you talking about? My daughter was kidnapped, and getting furious because he feels like he's been accused of something awful. And I'm like, okay, I guess this might be a big part of things. This idea of like them, you know, the police suspecting that they did something and they're hiding something or whatever. And it's basically nothing. The only thing that comes of it, because obviously this is before the 8-year time jump. After the 8-year time jump, when he eventually like sees the detective lady who's been like promoted to like an actual detective in the meantime, he recognizes her and like says, oh yeah, you had a theory that day that, you know, I did something to her. Where's that theory now? It's like he throws it back in her face once, and that's it. But it's never like an ongoing plot point. It's never something where, I don't know, like she feels super apologetic about it and tries to make it up to them or something, or maybe she feels guilty because, oh, we didn't look that hard because we just thought you did something and we couldn't prove it or something. I don't know.
There's also I forget which character had the line, but it is like the detective says like, oh, like, I've found this many missing people or whatever, and then like another character is like, yeah, but how many of them were alive? And then they must have thought it was like a cool line, because I feel like they bring it up again like later with like the other detective or something, where yeah, she's like, oh yeah, I found this many people, but only this many were alive or whatever. It's like, okay, we get it. Like, sometimes you find people, sometimes they're alive, sometimes they're dead. Like, that's fine.
I think they're usually dead. I think was the point of that scene, actually. It was like, it was rare to find them alive. So the 8-year time jump happens. They've got a new daughter who's about the age that the original daughter was, right? So the original daughter was Katie. The new daughter is Maud. Who's naming their young kids Maud in the 2020s? I don't know what's going on there, but...
And I feel like older names I feel like are kind of making a comeback, because I think like people in our generation are kind of like, oh yeah, like we don't want to name people like you're just the same names we had growing up. So I feel like I'm seeing less like names that we're used to of like, oh, like John and Michael and stuff. And yeah, you might get stuff that does sound a bit more old timey.
So we have to reintroduce this. Also, the wife's mother is there living with them, and like the son's obviously, because there's a brother character who's now grown up to, well, he's not grown up, he's still a kid, but he's like a teenager now. So
yeah, because they have to move back to they're living in the mom's house, which I think they was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I believe.
I could not tell you what state they were in. I know it wasn't New York. I remember thinking, oh, I guess he didn't go to New York and take the job there because he's somewhere else.
I'm pretty sure it's New Mexico. If not, it's like somewhere around there in that kind of area, like a maybe the correlation is that it's like, oh, it's like another desert kind of place that they're living in.
The Egypt of the US.
Yes.
New Mexico. So we get introduced to the family. They're kind of downers, and they seem to have like a thing where they don't like going on vacation, even though they weren't on vacation when that happened to them. They were living there for work, which is not a vacation, but still, they're very twitchy about the son saying, I want to go on a school trip. So they're establishing that. But after a few scenes, they're in the car with the kids, and they get a call from like the embassy in Cairo. And when he says he's from Cairo, the two parents look at each other and they grab the phone and they're like, okay, we'll take this privately, blah, blah. And like, oh, we found your daughter. Now, we did get a scene showing what led into this. A couple of scenes, in fact. A plane crashed in Egypt, and out of that plane landed the sarcophagus that we saw earlier on in the movie. And we also see a scene of like an archaeologist or something like that, like opening it up and doing some research and what is this? What period is it from? Is it important? Is it valuable? Is it whatever? And they find inside Katie, who's obviously now a bit older, but she's like wrapped in something like bandages, and she's very dehydrated and very sick looking and possessed looking basically. And that's what leads to the call that, hey, we found your daughter. It's so frustrating because it's like I said, we're not even at the kind of the main premise of the movie yet, and we're taking so much time setting everything up. And while it is kind of funny to have the sarcophagus sort of sitting there after the plane crash, part of me does feel like we could have just started with the call, right? We didn't really need these other couple of scenes setting up that like they'd found her. But hey,
I remember when just having the scene of like the plane crashing in the background, I was like, oh my god, what is going on with this movie? Like, we're just like going from like one scene to this to the next, and like now we're dealing with like plane crashes and stuff. Like it just feels like they're trying way too hard to like get the ball rolling, when again you can just like have, like you're saying, like pretty much just start like right here.
Yeah, like if you want to get the ball rolling, just start rolling the ball. It feels like they spend about half an hour like picking the starting spot and like, we'll put it down here. No, that's not quite right. We'll move it over here. Now we'll put it, like, so we never actually get the ball rolling to keep the analogy going. So the parents fly to Cairo. They get told that their daughter's kind of sick and looks weird and has weird texts and doesn't speak and all these other things. And it's very awkward. She obviously looks very, very ill and very, very unconventional because of her condition, as you might expect. And they talk to the police lady a little bit, but ultimately they fly her home, right? Taking her home is the best medicine. Having her be around family is the right thing to do. And it's at that point where about 40 minutes in, the movie's ready to properly start to an extent. And I say to an extent because honestly, a lot of this is still pretty goddamn boring. But at least when they're tucking her into bed for the first time and the younger daughter's trying to introduce herself as her little sister and so on, Katie just straight up headbutts the grandmother, like in the face. And it's kind of the first like instance of like her doing something crazy. The siblings see it, so the younger sister's freaked out by it. And that's like a whole thing for the next chunk of the movie. She's like scared to go to the bathroom at night because she has to walk past the room that Katie's in and stuff like that.
And this is I was watching this with my wife, and I think it was around this point when we started debating if these might be like some of the worst parents we've ever seen, because like clearly their daughter needs like both medical attention, but both like physically and mentally. And like they're having conversations and the mother's like, no, I'm not gonna put, like, she has to be home, like, I have to look after her, the mother, which is who needs to take care of her.
It's such a trope, by the way, like her having that attitude is such a trope. But yeah, because the husband dares to suggest maybe we should think about putting her somewhere with proper care, and she's like, no, I can fix her, I'm her mother, I'll fix her.
But it's like, I mean, I understand, like, you'd be very happy to have your daughter back after so long, but Jesus, look at her. Like, she clearly, like, needs, like, massive amounts of help. Like, there's nothing wrong with, like, bringing her to some kind of hospital, and, like, you can be there, too. Like, I'm sure, they'll have, like, visiting hours and stuff where, like, you'll be with her with long stretches of time and stuff. Like, it's not like you're just shoving her off somewhere and, like, not going to see her for years. It's like, no, we really need to get, like, proper, like, again, care for her. Like, it's and then especially when she starts, like, acting out, and it's clearly, like, not only does she need help, but she's a danger to the rest of this family, including, like, a very young child that's here. As I was like, man, these parents suck so much. Like you said, it's very tropey, because obviously there'd be no movie if they were doing the right thing or whatever, but it was so frustrating to be like, you guys are, like, horrible.
And the fight obviously turns into him saying, I know you blame me because I was the one that was home that day. And then he throws it back in her face by saying, yeah, but you were there all the other days when she was making this friend at the end of the garden, so maybe you're a horrible mother. And it's like, oh, okay. And they never even have like a makeup scene afterwards. They never have a scene where they, like, put that behind them and say they don't blame each other or anything like that. It just never happens.
This is kind of an interesting question, but, like, who would you say is the main character in this? Because it doesn't feel like we really follow or get to know much about anyone. Like,
I would say the dad, but only just purely because I think he gets the longest stretches where we're focusing on him, because he's the one who goes to speak to the professor, he's the one researching stuff. I feel like the mum disappears for long stretches. The detective in Egypt, like, gets probably more screen time than the mum does at a certain point, and that's,
I'd say so. Yeah. But I never really feel like I get to know the characters that much. Like, I mean, I guess you can just say that they're just kind of poorly written or kind of thin or whatever. But, like,
here's a question, Tim. All right, one of your kids disappears. They come back 8 years later, and they look like this. Right, they're acting like this. They're headbutting the pets. They're doing all sorts of crazy shenanigans. Right. At what point do you say, you know what? I'm washing my hands clean of it. Send them off somewhere to a home, and that's where they'll spend their days. I can't do it. I just can't do it no more.
Yeah, I mean, not to be, like, too judgy, but again, as soon as I would have looked at them, like. Yeah, if they're looking like that, And again, it's not like I'm judging them on their looks, like saying like, oh, like, you know, they look disgusting. It's like, oh no, they clearly are like, you know, suffering from different, like, you know, ailments and everything. So I like, the first thing I would do is when we bring, you know, our kid home from, like, again, if I'm the parent in this movie, like, as soon as we're home
from Egypt,
yeah, like, I'm going and having them, like, checked out by a doctor, and, you know, both, like, you know, like a medical doctor as well as, like, you know, a psychiatrist, because clearly there's going to be, yeah, emotional trauma, as well as, like, all the malnutrition and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's just, like, basic stuff that it's like, oh yeah, she's looking, like, you know, dehydrated, and, like, you know, that, like, her nails are, like, super long and stuff, like I don't know, things that are like, yeah, this would be something like we should bring her to a hospital to have, like, you know, checked out and stuff. I don't know. It's strange that, yeah, they are so, like, hell bent on not really doing any of that.
Yeah. And honestly, the middle part of the movie is obviously the most tedious, because it's like, okay, now we're just going to do her sitting there, you know, she whispers to the sister when she's not talked to anyone else, and that's where we get some of the laughably bad lines of, like, I want to eat your piggies, and, like, evil smile and that kind of stuff, and whatnot.
Yeah, so, like, the youngest daughter is talking to her through the doors, and then when she says that, like, her tongue comes and, like, licks her toes, and again, it's one of those things where, like, that's kind of stupid and over the top. So, but it might have, maybe something like that could be, I might be laughing at it if this was, like, a more fun movie, but again, like, it's, everything has been so kind of tedious and miserable at this point that, you know, even something like that's not really getting as much of a reaction out of me as I'm sure, like, the movie would hope for.
Yeah, and I guess because the entity, the demon, whatever you want to call it, because it's not a mummy, it's a demon.
Right.
The demon getting stronger means it starts to influence other people around as well. So, like, eventually the sister starts acting out, and that's, you know, she's in class, and the teacher comes up to her, and she's like, "Oh, you're a rat-faced C-bomb," and, like, that didn't make me laugh. Like that, like, just hearing a child say those words is funny to me. So I guess that's amusing. But, like, from that point on, that like, she's acting weird, and eventually, like, one of the big sequences in the movie is that the possessed Katie kills the grandmother and speaks to her and says some evil things, does some evil smiling, but ultimately throws her out the window. And the grandmother's false teeth come flying out, and it emphasizes that. Also, coyotes start eating, like, her almost dead body in front of everyone, and no one gets, even though she's still screaming, no one gets out to help her. Everyone just kind of like stays shell shocked and doesn't bother. Yeah,
the dad and the kids are driving home, and she, like, lands on the car, rolls over, and then gets eaten by CGI coyotes, which are obviously the most dangerous kind of coyotes. But it was kind of, like, so mean and over the top when the coyotes are eating her that I had, like, a little bit of a snicker, but
it dipped into laugh territory, because it was so over the top. But this leads to, like, a funeral they're having inside the house, and this is also the part where like, the mum, who's been the adamant, "No, we'll take care of her," finally says to the dad, maybe, you know, we have to accept that she's gone. And he thinks she's talking about her mum, or they just died, and she's like, "No, I'm not talking about her." But the big thing at the funeral is that Maud, who's now basically also just possessed at this point, takes the false teeth from the dead grandmother and puts them in her mouth, and reveals it by smiling with a big full grin of teeth, which she's not had the whole movie. And I'm like, I mean, that's a visual, I'll give you that. Like, I'm going to remember how that looked, if nothing else. But
again, in a different, more fun movie, this would have been something where you're like, "Oh, hell yeah, this is cool and gnarly." But yeah, at this point, it's kind of like, I mean, I guess it's better than, like, other stuff in the movie, but it's still not, like, winning me over. Like, the damage is done at this point.
Sure.
But
I mean, because obviously the earlier stuff was like, oh, they're trying to like clean her toenails, and it ends up ripping off like a big strip of skin from her leg and stuff like that.
That was very. I did find that to be quite squeamish. But and that'll probably be the thing that sticks with me most in the movie. But
yeah, and it's not the last time it happens either, because later on when she gets the brother who's now also possessed, like help her take off her restraints, she starts ripping off all the bandages they've put on her, and like just skin just kind of peels off with it, and it's just kind of icky and gross, and there's a lot of like just kind of sticky residue. Like,
so, some of the story stuff, I'm just like, wait, what are they trying to say with this? Because when they're doing the toenail, like rips off her skin, and then also under her skin is this like Egyptian writing that the dad finds and brings to this professor at the college, who researches it and determines it's this specific demon. But I'm like, okay, wait, so I mean, it doesn't matter, but I'm just like, wait, how did they get the writing under there? And then I wasn't sure, like, was the writing supposed to, like, what do you call it? Like entrap the demon? Like, was that supposed to kind of keep him at bay, and then once it gets off, that's when things start getting crazier?
I'm assuming the writing was on the bandages or the leather or whatever that she was wrapped in when she was mummified, and it somehow like seeped into her skin, is my guess, right? Because if it may be a protection against the demon, like a warding sort of thing, it makes sense she would be wrapped in that, you know? So, okay, I guess that works. But obviously all the other stuff from this all comes from the Egypt side, which is the detective lady who's like, okay, the daughter, like Katie, like did Morse code with her teeth to say the name Layla. So the dad phones the detective and says, hey, I've got a name. She said Layla. Layla's got something to do with who kidnapped her.
Okay, so this was another part that I thought was so freaking stupid. Like, I couldn't believe this. So all right, so he figures out, okay, Layla, we need to find out who that is. And then of course he phones a detective, and he's like, can you find someone with the name Layla? And she's like, do you know how many people are named Layla in Egypt? To
be fair, more than I probably would have thought, because I wouldn't have thought it was a common name in Egypt. But fair enough. Like, if there's 50 Laylas or 100 Laylas, then fair play.
Yeah. But then the thing that I thought was so stupid is, okay, so the dad goes to do some of his own investigation, and he has this trunk that's just filled with tons of postcards.
It's following up because the detective says, hey, do you know any Laylas? And he's like, no. Did you know any Laylas before? And he's like, no. Did anyone named Layla try and contact you after her disappearance? And that's when he goes to this trunk full of like all these like commiseration letters and cards that people sent to them from like everywhere, because they were on the news presumably, so people sent just nothing but cards saying, oh, sorry for your daughter's kidnapping, have a good one. I don't know. You write on these things.
So the thing that I couldn't believe, like, how dumb it was, is that he's going through all these letters, and I'm assuming that, you know, he's read them before. I would hope so, because again, you know, he's very interested in like following leads and investigating. So I would imagine that even though you get a lot of these, like, you might as well check them out, you know, because who knows. And then the one he finds, I forget what the message said exactly, but there was something in it that was like, I never wanted this to happen to Katie. Like, she was always my friend, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm like, you didn't think like that was maybe a little weird sounding? Like, isn't that something that maybe you should have like told the Egyptian police at some point? Like, hey, I don't know if this is anything, but I did get a letter with someone saying that they were Katie's friend and didn't want this to happen to her. And it's like addressed from Egypt. So I don't know, do you want to look this name up and see if it's anything? Like, I just couldn't believe like how dumb that was. I don't know.
I'd have to go back and check the exact phrasing to know how much I agree with you. I based on what you're saying, I agree with you, but I'm just wondering if the phrasing was slightly more like acceptable. Like, you know, yeah, it sounds suspicious when you know it's from the person who kidnapped her, but it's just enough wiggle room that you can get away with it. But
yeah, I mean, at the very least, like, if you're someone who is, again, like, this guy was so dead set on, finding his daughter and investigating everything, I would imagine that he would, look at every possible clue he had, and, that, again, even if it was, like, maybe didn't come off as completely, like, suspicious at the time, at the very least, I feel like it's something that you'd be like, oh, maybe I should let the cops know just in case, or whatever, because you never know. But it just bugged me.
They have so many of these letters, though, that like if they told me that they never actually read all of them because it was so many, and it was like depressing reading all these messages, like, I'd believe you, I suppose, but not that I'm defending it, but that's the only explanation I've really got for you, is that no, they never actually read it before.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that, though, that I felt like this isn't like a satisfying payoff for discovering something. Like, it just feels like you're just throwing this exposition at us. Yeah. Like, another example that we're going to come up soon is the videotape, where I'm just like, why are you videotaping this?
Oh, well, yeah, just, yeah, I mean, to get to that. So, detective lady's looking into this Layla, finds one, because they've got the full name now from that letter, and finds one that lives not that far from where the plane crashed with the sarcophagus on it, and is like, okay, that's weird. It's like a farm in the middle of the desert. That's a really weird place for that. And sure enough, it's the farmhouse from the opening of the movie, where they've got the little pyramid in the basement area. And apparently what it turns out to happen, because the detective lady ends up shooting the main woman that's there still and chasing down her daughter. The daughter's the one who sent the letter because she's the one that felt guilty, whereas the mother's like a devout, no, we must protect against this demon thing, and the sacrifice is needed kind of character. So what we basically find out is that they were moving the sarcophagus on the plane because they knew that their basement where they kept it was going to flood or something, like that was happening, so they had to move it. And presumably the supernatural forces brought the plane down because it has that effect on things, whatever. And yeah, she finds this videotape which has the main woman from the family explaining what they're doing and saying that a young child, an innocent child, works best because they last the longest. But so the idea is basically is that to keep this evil demon at bay, you have to put it in a person, mummify them, put them in a sarcophagus, until the host is spent, which is basically just like, I guess their life has been lived as a mummy. Like, I don't know if they have to live till they're 70 or 80 or what, but that's why you pick a small child, is because you get more time out of it before you have to get a new victim to put the demon in to keep it at bay. So that's effectively what's happened here. We only see part of the video, though, when she's watching it on her own. When she arrives in the US and says, hey, I had to come, I've got this videotape to show you. We see the whole thing, and it shows this woman and her. It's almost like a full cult. They're all wearing masks, and they're doing this. They're saying things. They're doing a ritual, and they're lowering Katie into the sarcophagus, and we see like the CG fluid go from like the mummy's mouth into her mouth, and boom, there she's possessed, and that's the thing.
So what made me laugh about this part is the detective flies all the way over and is like, I need to show you this. And then to me, I'm like, well, thank God they have a VCR. Like, if I was in this situation and like a cop came over, it was like, you have to watch this tape, I'd be like, all right, you don't have it on DVD? Like, is there, where can we go?
Yeah, also, another little hiccup here is that this is a VHS tape from Egypt, and they're putting it into a US VCR. Now,
that's a very good point.
It might not be a problem, but I'm just going to do a quick Google here. I'm going to say Egypt standard definition format. I'm curious. Let's find out, because most of you will probably know that the US had NTSC and that Europe mainly had PAL, right? So that was the two main formats. But there was a third called CCAM, which I think France used. But upon a little search here, apparently Egypt also used CCAM.
Okay.
So it straight up is just a different format than what a US VCR would be able to like display and read properly. Different frame rate, different resolution. So I'm not saying it's a huge plot hole, but because you made me think of it, it's just kind of funny. Yeah, like not only do they have a VCR ready, they've got one that can accept Egyptian standard tapes.
Yeah, like it's just I don't know, it's just so weird. Like I feel like most movies would be like, oh yeah, like, you know, they would bring over like a USB or something and put it on the computer.
She'd have transferred it to a digital file, which would be easier to share or email to them even. But no. She brought the physical tape and said, nope, where's your VCR? To which they said, it's 2026. What are you talking about? Oh dear.
This movie is like so long too. I wouldn't put him past them like having like a 10-minute scene where they go to like some like used electronics shop, try to find like, you know, the right stuff to use. Or
They have to go to like Best Buy first and ask for a VCR. To which the Best Buy employees say, "It's 2026. What are you talking about?" And so on and so forth. We haven't
sold VCRs in 20 years.
At least, I mean, I don't think I've had a VCR since like 2002 or something like that. It's been a long time,
quite a bit.
Yeah. So and honestly, once they've showed the tape, this is when the kids all start working together because they're all possessed now. Although we kind of glossed over the fact that we didn't gloss over anything. I guess the only thing to mention is that at the funeral scene for the grandmother, whilst the younger sister is putting in the teeth and biting people, the possessed sister Katie's like doing the whole crab walk on the ceiling thing from The Exorcist, and then falls onto the coffin with the grandmother, and just, you know, chaos ensues. Oh, and also starts licking up the fluid coming out of the dead body as well, just to be extra disgusting.
Yeah, and the way, because I think like the way like Katie actually comes down and she like claws her way through like the floorboards and like crawls onto the ceiling, and I think it's like the priest someone is biting. I forget if it's like his neck or his ear or whatever. Like again, in a more fun movie, like this might have been like a cool standout scene. And I mean I guess like I didn't mind it as much as like other stuff, but it doesn't really like save the movie.
It's too little, too late. Yeah, it's been too like boring and mind numbing to actually get to this point that it's not enough to save anything. But
I would say this is probably the most it felt like it's aping Evil Dead to me, because it is like very over the top and like gross, and like they even have one of the ladies like throws up into her like wine glass.
Sure. To me though, where it gets full Evil Dead though is when the dead grandmother comes back as a possessed being.
Oh, sure.
And she's just a full-on deadite. She's just straight up saying, "Hey, son-in-law, come and have a taste of me. You know you want to." And I'm like, this is deadite talk.
That's right.
This is just straight up deadite talk. But yeah, honestly, I don't really have much to say about the whole climax, because it's really just chaos happens after they watch the tape, and like the dad gets like, you know, like bit a bunch. The detective lady, like one of the possessed girls, spits out like a scorpion which goes in her mouth, and the tail like comes out of her neck, making it tough for her to talk. Although she does put her hand in her mouth and pull it out, so she's okay otherwise. But she has a hard time talking, which is important.
To like, in order to say the spell or whatever, she has to like I think she kind of has to like press her throat or whatever.
That's what I was getting to, is that a couple of minutes after that, she ends up having to say the words for the spell, because the dad's like, "Hey, I'm going to take the demon, right? You can trap me up. I'm going to take it from my daughter." And sure enough, that's how the movie ends. Well, kind of. There's a little bit extra tagged on, because this is a movie that is so goddamn long, it just wouldn't end either. Like, there's multiple times when it could have cut to goddamn black and it could have been over, but no, they just had to keep going. But the main ending is that the dad takes the possession thing from the daughter, and she starts being herself again, and that's a whole thing. And they... At first I thought, wait, is the mum now going to be the new person that has to find new people to like transfer the possession to, because now she's looking after her husband's? It's like this. But instead we get this like tagged on like revenge sequence where they travel to the mental hospital in Egypt where the woman who kidnapped Katie is staying, and they show up because the mum, we never mentioned this, but the mum's a nurse, so she kind of like shows up as a nurse, and then they reel in the husband who's possessed and like strapped to a wheelchair, and the door shuts, and the movie ends with like some screams to suggest that they're transferring the possession into the woman who kidnapped Katie, so the husband will be off the hook. And I'm like, this is such a weird ending for this movie.
So it feels like this would be like an after credit scene or something, because like as much as I feel like the movie didn't have much of an arc for the characters or anything, it feels like the dad, you know, who feels like he was dealing with like guilt and stuff like for losing his daughter. Yeah, I guess like the emotional climax is him taking on this burden for her, and then you know, he takes it on, and then there's like this, you know, quick little scene of like him in the sarcophagus, and he's communicating with Katie, who's like, you know, back to herself now, like through Morse code on the coffin. And so it kind of feels like this kind of somber emotional ending where it's like, all right, the dad, like, you know, had to make this huge big sacrifice in order to do what's best for his family. He took this on, and you know, this is him making this big heroic choice. But then you immediately deflate it like 2 seconds later by having this scene where they're like, yeah, we're just gonna give it back to, you know, that person that screwed us over. Like,
Joe, it reminded me of, weirdly, so I guess minor spoilers for A Quiet Place here. I'm about to say something about the end of A Quiet Place, but it's at the end of The Quiet Place where like Emily Blunt turns around and cocks a shotgun as if we're going to go be badasses now, and I'm like, this movie has not set up for this at all. It feels so tonally incorrect, and this is kind of the same thing here. I mean, the rest of this movie is obviously worse than A Quiet Place is, but it's a very similar thing where, oh wait, we're getting revenge, like we're badasses now, and we're going to like give her comeuppance. I'll be honest, I thought this woman was dead. I thought she was dead from when the police lady shot her.
Us too.
But then it's like, oh, she's here. All right, I guess she survived the gunshot. I don't think that came up or was mentioned, or if it did, then it was so quick that I didn't notice.
Like it's not like she just shot her in the leg or something. Like she shot her like through the heart. Like it seemed like. It's funny. I thought you were gonna say that it reminded you of. I guess I don't want to give it away because it's something that we did that'll be coming out for Oktoberfest. But
okay. I know what you're talking.
We did.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Let's just say it's a movie that has a very clear ending and then immediately undercuts it with like this 30-second addendum that like totally sells out its characters. But yeah, it just feels like like the sacrifice that the dad makes, that feels like that's supposed to be the big climax of your movie, feels like totally neutered, because it's like, oh well, they can just give it to someone else at any time, and in fact they have this person picked out, and honestly it's not going to be that big a deal because I guess once he gives it to her he'll just be totally fine and normal again. So it's like there was no like, sacrifice or anything.
Especially since it's not even like he was possessed for anywhere nearly as long as Katie was, which honestly, like, Katie was possessed for 8 years, right? And she was like maybe 8 or 9 at the time. She's now going to be 16, 17, but she's not grown up in that time, so she still has the mind of what she was when she was like 8 or 9, right? When everyone else her age is like thinking about, I don't know, sex and stuff. She's like not had time to develop. She's obviously not been in school for 8 years. I just feel like that girl has so much like catching up to do on a mental and like experience level. It's unreal. But no, the dad had it for a week though before they gave it to a villain, so it's okay.
Yeah, like I wonder if they'll have fights about in the future where the dad will be like, hey, you know, I got possessed too, and she'll be like, yeah, for like 5 days.
No, it won't be a fight with her. It'll be a fight with the wife where she's like, I am struggling so hard. I am such a hard-working mother. And he's like, woman, I was possessed by a demon for our children. I am the parent of the year, not you. That's enough of that. I can't say I felt much about the ending other than just, why is it still going? Why is there like, I thought it was going to like fade to black when she just started talking normal, and then there's the scene with the Morse code when he's in the sarcophagus. I thought it was going to fade to black there to give you like a bittersweet, he's still kind of in there talking to her in a way, and then it did this entire tacked on revenge sequence, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? This is weird, because it still raises the problem though, is like, okay, but what about when this woman grows old,
exactly,
and it needs to be replaced again into a new host? Like, who's going to do that? Is it going to be this family's burden now to make sure they keep finding sacrifices? And if so, like, who are they picking? And are they not just going to like ruin some other family's life if they pick a child? Maybe that'll be the rule for them. They won't pick a child, even if it means having to do it 10 or 20 years more frequently. We'll just get an adult who's already a criminal or something, someone who's done something bad to feel a bit better about it. I don't know.
I hope there's not a sequel where we have to find out.
I don't think it did very well, Tim. I don't think we have to worry about any sequel threats. But honestly, it's a shock to me how much we sped through the middle of the movie, because like for as long as it is, there's not a lot happening. All the research stuff, all the stuff where like Katie will do one little swear word or will bite someone or something, and like it just kind of does some of that stuff over and over, but then it'll follow the dad for a while doing research, then it'll follow detective lady like snooping around the house where the pyramid thing is and whatnot. Like it has so many things that pad it out to its runtime. It's not that it actually has enough story to warrant that runtime. It just pads things out incessantly.
I'm trying to think, like, especially with like the climax, I'm like, there had to be like more stuff that happened there, right? But I'm like having trouble like remembering like a ton of it. And
yeah, I mean, I think the mom gets hit in the head, at least I think. She's quite hazy at one point. The dad gets cut in the face a bunch, but yeah, I mean, honestly, the scorpion in the neck of the detective lady is kind of the most memorable part of the climax, I would say. Yeah,
and that was kind of a callback. We didn't really talk about the scene, but like early on, Katie's like scampering around. Like they have these very convenient little tiny doors that go into like the inside walls of the house.
Yeah, this house has like insane like wall space. Like there is like, it's like 4 feet thick. This like like shaft between the walls. Like, what are we talking about? No one's got wall gaps like this.
Yeah. I thought that was very strange. Like, I would understand if like, oh, like there's a little like storage space or something like that you can get through to there, but I was like, when you have that, like, does it just run through the whole house? Like, I don't know, but there's a scene where she's running around and like she ends up eating a scorpion, and
yeah, I can't really explain it. It just kind of feels a bit lazy, I guess, because it's basically in the first night she's there and the mum falls asleep next to her. The dad comes in and is like, "Where's Katie?" And just because she's run into the walls and she's eating scorpions or whatever. So yeah, it's rough. But it's like all the possession stuff is super, super generic. It's the same stuff you've seen pretty much a million times before, with a little bit of extra gross out gore on top here or there, and that's pretty much it. But I felt very little for this other than just apathy and like desperation, looking at the runtime and being like, oh god, there's still 90 minutes left. How is there still 90 minutes left? What did we even do in these first 45 minutes? Anyway, let's just rate the movie, Tim, because I don't think I can survive much longer here. What are you giving Lee Cronin's The Mummy out of 10?
I was trying to debate if I'm gonna go with a 2 or 2.5. I mean, it's pretty bad. There's very little redeeming about it. The only reason I'm thinking is like maybe going with like the 2.5 is just because, yeah, there was a moment or two here where I was like, okay, I guess like the gore is okay, or that's like a decent visual, or you know, they're doing something that's so crazy and over the top that I guess I won't go with like a straight 2, but even that stuff that might be kind of fun in concept, it's weighed down by just having so much of the rest of the movie being tedious and overlong and convoluted. And And like again, it's just weird because it just seems like there's such an easy fix. Like if you didn't need this to be so mummy focused, like you could have just had a regular possession movie, which again would not have solved many of the problems, but at least if it's like 90 minutes, it's you can cut out a lot of that stuff that is really forcing a story into why it's like called The Mummy and everything. And then like at least you have a generic possession movie that is not just like so long and boring to sit through. But I don't know, there's really not much going on here. And yeah, the characters aren't good. Like again, maybe a visual or a scene of gore here or there that was like not bad, but you can't really have a movie stand just on that.
Yeah, it's a 2 for me. It's like I think the plot is absolutely just dreadful. It's tiring to get through. It takes ages to get anywhere because it feels the need to over-explain things with all these extra scenes. It's never all that engaging or exciting. And then on top of that, you've got just all the tropes, just showing up, and it's tropes that I don't even like. Right? I'm not like I wouldn't say that I by default like a possession movie. There's exceptional ones that are great, but everything else is kind of crud. But I'm giving it at least a 2 though, because there's 1 or 2 moments of gore that are okay. There's a couple of moments that made me laugh a little bit, kind of thing, and there's just some stuff that is worse. But the fact that I've rated this half a point lower than Psycho Killer is absolutely damning for this movie.
Yeah,
absolutely damning. At least Psycho Killer was 90 minutes, right? At least it had that going for it.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever gave an official landing for my score, but I'll give it just a straight 2 out of solidarity.
Very nice, very nice.
And I'll throw this. I never thought I'd say these words, but if I had to choose a movie to rewatch, I'd probably go with if it was between this and the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, I'd probably choose the Tom Cruise Mummy movie. And I don't think I'd ever want to rewatch that again, but if I had to choose between the two.
Yeah, gun to your head and all that. Yeah. Oh well, there you go. That's Lee Cronin's The Mummy, finally done, and that wraps that up. Next week on the show, if I have got the right date written down, it should be Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miyazama next week on the show.
Oh, thank God.
But
some hope.
Yeah, but as always with new releases, things might shift a week or two. Like I know Evil Dead Burn ended up in a different week than I thought it was. Yeah, Peter from the future here. Turns out that Camp Miyazama's release date in the UK and the US is not actually the same week, so you will not be getting that next week. Instead, you'll be getting what I think I'm about to tease actually in the original recording, Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Oh boy. That said, though, we're not recording that one next. We get to record something that's definitely going to be bad next, so you feel for us there. I won't tell you what it is. You'll find out in a couple of weeks. But
it's been with the way our recordings have been going. The ones we've been doing, we haven't been having a great run lately.
No, not at all. Anyway, though, you can support the show over at Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Get access to the even more screaming segments that we have most weeks, the back catalogue of bonus episodes, plus all the bonuses for the other things that come from Mailfuzz movies. There's a sci-fi podcast and a sort of movie collection podcast that I do with David. Go check out those. Otherwise, though, like, subscribe, all that stuff helps out a bunch if you do. But thanks to everyone who does support us in one way or another. And that is the show. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, and we will see you next time.